Hey everyone, Krazyed here, and this is my second part of what we know about Atlas of Worlds, the new expansion coming out for Path of Exile by Grinding Gear Games on September 2nd. They put out another announcement today. It's got a 2-minute trailer along with a lot of press releases, and in the trailer they showed a Cthulhu-type hooded figure, apparently he's called the Shaper, moving through the world, different maps, influencing and talking. He's got Malachi's voice, it sounds like, and talking about how he's created his Atlas, and it's his, master creation. It's his baby. What it means for us is that GGG is finally showing us some of the content about the reworking they've been doing on the in-game map system. They've added 19 new map bosses and over 30 new maps, so we've got over 100 maps altogether now. So there's a lot of different content we can run and a lot of different content to master. So we get this also with some improvements to the game. We'll get multi-threading and performance improvements, and probably some trade improvements too, is what Chris Wilson's been talking about over his last few interviews. So let's get into the Atlas and what it's going to offer us as players. You'll use specific maps to navigate around this Atlas, and you'll have a starting point. I don't know if it's different for each class or how that's going to go, or you get to choose one. We don't know. But it will eventually lead to 4 specific boss fights that are in the center. So you can probably get to your 4 specific boss fights, which are going to be the Phoenix, the Minotaur, the Hydra, and the Chimera, or Chimera, however you want to say it, wherever you're from, before you unlock the final Shaper battle, and that's the Cthulhu guy. You can probably unlock all 4 without placing maps in the entire Atlas, unlocking the entire thing. But I'm fairly certain they're not going to let you unlock, the Minotaur and then immediately just skip over and unlock the next 3. You're probably going to have to work your way around, which is good, because you're probably going to want to level up. In one of the videos, Chris Wilson mentions that he's in a tier 15 or tier 16 area, and tier 15 maps are currently all we have. So we're going to have some higher level content. It's going to be a little bit harder, and there's going to be different fights. It also appears that each map, like I said, we've got over 100 now, fills in a different specific spot on the Atlas, and this kind of fits into another different theme. So like all your strand maps will go in a specific location, and to navigate around and to get to the different spots, you'll have to find the different maps and probably run and complete the content in that map. Now, initially it could probably be easy, but there's ways we can upgrade it, as we'll talk about later. This also makes sense because they kind of tease that certain maps are going to have, in certain locations on the Atlas, will be more likely to spawn new base types. So probably Ziggy D's Belt is one of them, ones that will have a specific area, but also they teased a Bone Helmet base type, which gives an implicit of minions deal additional damage. So I know there's probably a lot of summoners out there that really like to see that, and there's going to be lots of different other base types, and that seems about par for the course, actually, is what I was expecting. I thought that it would be more just belts specifically, but it looks like we're probably going to have new gloves, new body armors for different classes, so should be a lot of fun, and we're going to get a lot of different stuff. One way to think about it is that maps also may be their own nodes in the passive tree, so the Atlas acts like a passive tree now versus them being their own thing where you ran them all willy-nilly and it was just, hey, I'll always run the best ones. Now you're probably going to have more reason to go back and run certain maps over and over and over again. If you're a necromancer, you're probably going to want to, get a good bone helm and farm necropolises and whatever other maps, cemeteries, graveyards, whatever, and then you can also upgrade those base types, so you can do, instead of always doing a tier 2 cemetery, which is a area level 69, you should be able to upgrade it by 5 levels, or hopefully more. 10 levels would be awesome, and do like a tier, a level 79 cemetery zone with that teleporting, lightning warping skeletal mage. which should be a lot of fun. There's actually a lot of bosses and maps that I would love to run at higher levels. I really want to get my hands on a tier 12 jungle valley. That's going to be sweet. But what else is there to make this interesting? And they're adding a couple of new currencies. They said maybe 1 or 2, but I think 3 or 4 is the number we're going to get. The first one that we're going to get is the Cartographer Sextant. We already have a Cartographer's Chisel that adds quality, which in turn adds item quantity and item rarity to a map, and you can get that up to 20%. But a Cartographer Sextant allows you to add bonus map mods to all maps in a radius, and you can, from what they showed, it can probably be up to 4 to 5 is not going to be uncommon if you really put these out. For one map, if you put them all in a circle to where the radiuses overlap, like a Venn diagram, then you can probably get lots of extra mods. So if you've already got a strand or a graveyard map, and then you've got 4 other maps around it plus its mod, you're rolling a yellow map and then you're adding like 5 other mods on top of it, which is pretty sweet and can probably make the map pretty difficult. So not only can you increase the base level of the area, but you can add umpteen mods onto it. In my last video from last week, I kind of talked about, adding maps together, and this goes along with it. Instead of running just one map, you're actually combining 2 maps, upping the tiers, and adding a combination of all the mods together to make it just super difficult, super rippy, but also just have tons and tons and tons of that sweet loot that we want. The next piece of currency that they talked about was the Shaper's Orb, and that's the one that I've been talking about a little bit, that upgrades a map by 5 levels. They didn't mention a lot about this currency, so I'm not sure if it's a permanent upgrade or not. Maybe it'll fade off after 3 uses of the map, or just 1 use of the map, and it can only go up. You can only use it once, and then it only goes up once. So maybe we won't get to see that level 79 cemetery map. Maybe they only go up 5 levels and that's it. So maybe there's a limit, but who knows? I mean, maybe if someone wants to add 20 levels to a map, they could do that. I don't think that would be wise, but you could do it. We'll see what GGG lets us get away with. The next is the essences, and these are like alchemy orbs in a way, because they reroll all the mods and they make it a rare. They make it yellow, but they guarantee a certain mod. Now, these are interesting for a couple reasons, and Chris goes over this in the IGN video. I'll include a link in my YouTube to that one, so you can watch the whole thing. But they start out low tiers, and then they can be upgraded. This is really similar to the Talismans, but GGG changed one thing. I think they learned from Talisman League a little bit. When you start getting into later content, the tiers of the essences that drop are higher. So this is kind of a little bit like in Diablo 3 with like the jewels, right? Where you start off and you've got these crappy little jewels, and that's all the chipped jewels is all you can find, chipped diamonds or whatever, and then but as you're doing the later content, you're finding just possibly whole ones at a time, where you don't have to upgrade 50 little shitty chipped ones to get the level you want. You start out with the one big one, so that's really nice. Of these essences, when you equip them and do add them to a weapon or an armor, they do different things, and there's probably going to be a lot of these, and we'll be able to farm these fairly consistently. They're going to be about the rarity of a silver coin, apparently, from Prophecy League that we've got right now. Chris said there maybe be 1 or 2 per zone, so I'm not sure if quantity will really have any effect on that. We'll see. But some of the ones that we know about so far are the Essence of Horror. Now keep in mind that lower tiers of these essences are going to give low rolls of the mods that they're adding, and as you upgrade 3 at a time, you can just send them to any vendor apparently. 3 of any 1 level essence will upgrade to the next tier, and they go up to 7 or 8 tiers, I believe. So you can really up your game with these by crafting these into high level base items, which we will have higher tiers now. We should be able to get some good mods on things. So let's get into the ones that they've shown us so far. We have the Essence of Horror, which is a corrupted essence. I'll talk more about that in a minute. And on weapons, this gives 10% chance to gain a random charge on kill. This is not a great mod, I don't think. That's a different story. But on gloves, socketed gems have 5% increased critical strike chance. I don't know if that's like Assassin's Mark, where it adds a flat to your, out of 100 cents. Or if it's like increased crit, where it adds 5% to the base, which would double the base on basically any spell put in there, giving you almost 100% chance to crit. I don't think that that's it. That'd be too OP. Or is it like global, which 5% global increased critical strike chance is garbage. So I'm probably guessing it's like Assassin's Mark, where it just adds 5%, which is equivalent to 100% increased critical strike chance to most normal weapons and spells. The next is if you do the Essence of Horror into armors, body armors, it gives 15% of physical damage taken as cold. That's pretty OP. And in a helmet, it gives socketed gems deal 40% more elemental damage. So that's also awesome. Now, in quivers and rings, I think this is really interesting. It adds 4 to 8. That's not 4-8, like 4 to 8 cold damage per frenzy charge. It adds 4 to 8, so the rolls are 4 to 8. So you can, when you put this into a ring or a quiver, it adds, the rolls are from 4 to 8. So it could add 4, it could go up to 8 flat damage per frenzy charge. Now, I don't think I have to explain this to everybody, but if you get 2 rings and a quiver, and you're a elemental bow user, and you get guaranteed flat 24 cold damage added to anything that you do, that can be really strong on every attack, because that's flat damage and it scales, and that's per frenzy charge. So let's be modest and say you pick up 2 frenzy charges from the tree, and then you pick up your bandit frenzy charge. You've got 6 frenzy charges without extra gear and whatnot. You're adding 24 flat damage per frenzy charge. So 6 times 24, quick math, what? 150 roughly, 144. Yeah, it's 144 flat elemental damage. So I'll let you go compare that. That's per hit per attack. So I'll let you go compare that to what a Frost Nova might do. Or like an added cold damage. It's basically a free gem at that point. That's a lot of damage. Going down, and if you put it into an amulet, it increases the effect of Fortify by 15%. Okay, alright. And then belts, 5% physical damage reduction during flask effect, which is awesome, because that's like an extra endurance charge, basically, without saying it's an extra endurance charge. Endurance charges give flat 4% reduced physical damage. On to the next essence, we've got Essence of Greed. On weapons and quivers, it gives flat physical attack damage leech. On all armors and shields, it gives life of various rolls. On belts, it gives flask life recovery. And on jewelry, it gives flat life regen per second, but it's in a relatively high range, it seems. Now, on the Essence of Woe, it gives % increased spell damage, and it varies between one-hander and two-hander, just like there's different rolls right now for those, in case you didn't know. On armors and shields and belts, it gives you a flat ES number. On a quiver, it gives you weapon elemental damage, and on other jewelry, so rings and amulets, it will give you a % increased ES. So I mentioned these can be corrupted, and they can be the essences can be corrupted with remnants of corruption. Now, Chris didn't really explain too much about the remnants of corruption and the corrupted essences, only to say that you can corrupt them. We don't know where to get them. Maybe corrupted areas. Who knows? Maybe in corrupted maps, just like you'll find a corrupted boss that can drop a sacrificial fragment. we can get these corrupted essence drops, and that will, fuel them further. But there's a lot we don't know about these. I can go ahead and speculate that we know that you can get like unique or rare level essences out of, or there are some corrupted essences that are more common and others that are rarer, kind of like corrupted jewels, right? So I would guess that there's going to be essences that are kind of crap, like your fragility that gives you -1 endurance charge as a corrupted jewel. And then there's going to be rarer ones like Sacrificial Harvest, where you gain bonus Veil Souls per kill. We're probably going to figure these out over the next month or so, which are the OP ones and which are the troll ones that you don't really care about. And, just because your build doesn't care about them, there are going to be other builds that do. So there's going to be some really extra niche ones that are going to be really interesting, and people are going to figure those out. That's about all the information that I've gotten out of all this stuff for this video, and from all the news releases that we've gotten today. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, or leave a comment below. Let me know what you think, if I should be producing more content like this, and I will see y'all out in Wreaclast.